From the Fathead Studio in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny.
Maybe I need to start in the trash truck business.
Don't rule it out.
So my body holds about 11 units of blood, the average human body, guy my size, and I had 22 units put in because I had 2 full oil changes.
He's airborne, and then I'm above him.
Inverted.
All at the same time. Yeah, you're just like, wow, that's a wild picture.
Boom, and then it goes boom, and it comes back out.
I hang up on the guy. I go, who's this? This is Deion Sanders. I go, yeah, nice try. See you later.
Bounce, and then this insane roll. That thing sent it.
No. It's okay, we come back. They just do it.
Man, am I still pretty? And he's like, you ain't pretty, but you're going to be all right.
If I was a few years older, you might be calling me Grandpappy. I think, all right.
Hi, I'm Tony Stewart.
I'm Scott Dixon.
I'm Mario Andretti.
I'm Christy Lee.
I'm Travis Pastrana.
Hey, I'm Antron Brown.
Hi, I'm Julie Natus, and this is The Skinny.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Skinny. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is the Fathead Studio, Fathead's Eyewear Studio. I'm Ken Stout. That is the man behind Fathead's Eyewear. That is Rico Elmore. Julie Natus is off camera. She is in the studio, though. Mr. Michael Young is running the controls here in the studio, so if everything is blurry, you can blame him. And then we had 2 outstanding guests that will join us here today. This should be a really fun show. By the way, one of them, Richie Crampton, we've been trying to get him on the show for a couple of years now. We could not get that accomplished, but Julie was able to get him on as soon as she said, hey, your buddy Jonnie Lindberg's coming on, who's sitting right beside him as well. So we have the two partners in crime.
Do you think it was us?
You've known Richie. You tried to get him
I thought we were boys, and that was done. Not a chance.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kick the show off with you two guys with the first question. A Swede and an Aussie walked into a bar.
Bad news.
Then it's blackout.
Continue.
Yeah, that's called lights out right after that.
There's probably a few stories about that.
Yeah, we can go all night for bar stories.
8 or 9 years about that stuff. But good times.
Thank God you guys have straightened your act up and really got on the straight and narrow.
Were you guys pre-gaming before you came?
Nah.
No.
This is a work day.
Working.
So not only are both of these guys extremely accomplished race car drivers, they're both extremely accomplished as fabricators as well. I mean, we're talking about building championship-winning cars from the ground up. So great to have both you guys on the show. Thanks for taking the time, man. Honestly, both of you guys I know are slammed busy all the time.
Well, he's a crew chief now, so he doesn't.
He is a crew chief now, yeah. Yeah, we have to talk about that. By the way, he's also wearing a championship ring. I don't know where the other one is, but he's a 2-time NHRA top alcohol funny car champion. Was it 2015, 16? 2 years?
15 and 16.
Yeah.
You can borrow it.
Yeah, you want to? Ken's more of a pinky ring guy than I am.
I don't know if those rings will fit. And then, of course, one of those championship trophies sitting right between these two guys as well.
That's like an antique one now, like 2016, right?
Yeah, it looked like it had 2016 dust on it when I got here.
We had to clean it off when he brought it in here. Good stuff. And the way the trophy started here was, I said to Richie, I said, hey, bring that special trophy you have in here, because he was the winner of the 60th anniversary of the U.S. Nationals in his rookie season, by the way. He said, yeah, man, I'll bring that in. He didn't bring it.
Yeah, kind of forgot. Didn't get that worked into the pregame schedule, but lucky Johnny, he can remember stuff like that, so he's got some cool stuff for us to look at, I guess.
Well, he didn't have as much time to forget it. I said something to you this morning, and she didn't text Johnny till after lunch.
Clearly, you should have given him about a 10-minute
about a 5-minute guy, yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. You two guys have been partners in crime for near 10 years, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Like driving here, I kind of, when did we meet? And then I I remember this. It was in Dallas, 2015. I walked into a bar and I heard somebody, hey, Lindberg, you're such a legend. And then that was the first time I met you.
Yeah, so the precursor to that was I won the race that day in Texas against Billy Torrance, and that was a Sunday night. So I'd been there a little bit before you, and you guys must have been working or tearing down or whatever, but you came in late, and
I think I needed help into this room that day.
You know, those alcohol guys, they got to, the drivers have to stay and help. You fuel guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'd rather you not get involved.
Just fly in, fly out. Yeah.
Bring your helmet and get out of here. Okay.
Yeah, so that's 9 years, I guess, we've known each other. But, like, it feels like we've known each other longer for some reason. I guess that's what you get when you get two foreigners moving into U.S. and, you know, following the same dream, I guess, you know, drag racing.
Yeah. A lot of similarities in, you know,
Haircuts.
yeah. Mine's going away, but just, you know, growing up racing with our family and stuff, and the hot rodding background that I had, Johnny had. So there's a lot of mutual friends that we didn't really know that we both knew and stuff. So once we kind of crossed paths, and I was already kind of a fan of what he was doing. I mean, he shipped his whole top alcohol funny car operation over here to the US to prove a point and to kick butt, and he did that. And, you know, I've always been a fan of the alcohol category, so I was always watching, and I was like, man, that's pretty hardcore what he was doing. And so it was cool to meet him, and then it wasn't cool once I got to know him.
Did you fall in love with the alcohol series when Morgan was running? Is that how it happened, or Brandon?
Mainly alcohol funny car is where my main, you know, focus was.
Guys.
So them other two, yeah, whatever. But funny cars are cool.
Did you ever drive a funny car?
The only funny car I've ever driven is actually Johnny's. He gifted me an opportunity to get my crossover license from Top Fuel NHRA license to the alcohol funny car license. It was on a Monday in Charlotte, 2016, maybe
17 or 18, I think.
Yeah,
Must have been 17.
I made a couple of marginal runs, and then you can probably tell him more about how poorly I drove the first couple.
Well, if he didn't short shift the two first runs, it would go 49 off the trailer. So, you know, for never being in a funny car, he did awesome, swap feet good, and, you know.
It was super cool, like clutch dust coming up in front of you. And to his point, like I did keep short shifting it because I'd only really driven like some door car stuff, but mainly Top Fuel dragsters where all the noise and everything's behind you, right? So when you get in a funny car and the clutch is between your feet and the motor's in front of you, the noise, like I figured I was revving that thing to 15,000 RPM, but just because the motor's so much louder in front of you.
Fumes?
No, yeah, the fumes weren't really too bad. Like they're there, but they were there in every, you know, type of those cars. But really just getting used to revving it up and like sitting behind that thing that, you know, shifting at 10,500 RPM was pretty cool. And I went 549. The only run to the finish line to get my crossover license went 549, which at the time, I mean, not many alcohol funny car guys were going 540. So I was pretty happy with that.
Wow, very impressive. We are off and running here with the Skinny. Two great personalities on for us. You don't want to miss this show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Kind of a small world scenario, but we're pretty similar in some ways. I'm just better looking.
The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04. And American Coach. Innovation is our life force.
Welcome back to the Skinny. I'm Ken Stout. Rico Elmore sitting right alongside two wonderful guests have joined us here on the Skinny. We have both Richie Crampton and Jonnie Lindberg, and talked about these guys being great race car drivers and fabricators. I found it interesting that both of you guys have a pretty cool sidebar story. I think for you, Richie, it was winning the U.S. Nationals in a car that you had built. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the information was that I drug up was the only other person that had done that at the time was Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
Yeah.
At the time, which is pretty cool.
That's kind of a, you know, it's kind of true, kind of not. I mean, I definitely wasn't the only guy building race cars at MLR at the time. Aaron Brooks was overseeing the whole program, and Jason Rush, and we were all kind of, you know, had our hands in building the Top Fuel dragsters at MLR for Morgan and Brandon, and then myself eventually. So, yeah, definitely had a big part in building the cars, and particularly the one that I won Indy in, which is pretty cool. But to compare that to what Garlitz did back in the day, I mean, not that you were comparing it, but still, like, it's kind of similar, but definitely not the same as what Garlitz and those guys did.
Yeah,
Pioneers were
completely
nuts.
different eras and times for sure. And
After he won the U.S. Nationals, he said he built that car by himself.
yeah, that wasn't the story that day.
Seems like things got switched around there a little bit.
And Johnny, along the same lines, if I'm not mistaken, when you were asked to build a car, and the car the first car that you built went on to win the 2020 Top Alcohol Funny Car Championship.
Yeah, it was just so the Gordon family. You know, I talked to Mike Gordon, and like, yeah, like we need a race car, but Hedman retired, so we don't have a guy to buy a race car from. I'm like, well, I build your car. You would? I'm like, yeah, I build your car, and then I finished it, and then they went out and.
I think the quote was,
season,
I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, how does one go into that and say, yeah, bring it over, I'll put it together?
Yeah, well, I had some. It's not like I never complicated. In Europe, we did a lot of stuff ourselves, you know, because we didn't have.
That's what I'm wondering, how you got.
That's how I kind of get into it. It's hard-headed, you know, like. If that guy can do it, I should be able to do it, right?
You know how many times that's gotten me in trouble? It's bad.
But that's a big risk for that guy to say, yeah, okay. Let's
so, you know, I'm forever grateful to the Gordon family. Like, they took that shot at like, okay, well, build me a car. But then now I just finishing their third car for them. So it's a good, good return customer. And I think that was just good timing. You know, I built them a car, and they a good race team, and they went out, they won a championship, and then I got to sell a lot of more chassis because of that, you know.
Great stuff. And I love the story that you told Richie, or that you said whenever you walked in and Richie said, hey, Lindberg, you know, I mean, and then for you to follow up with that story to say, I watched what this guy did. I mean, he brought his whole operation over. So when you were yelling at him in the bar, you were legitimately like, that's a cool dude right there. I want to meet that guy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's that mutual, you know, it wasn't mutual in this case, but that respect of the other racer, and kind of, you know, I wanted to do what he was doing, but I didn't get to do it that route. I came over to the US to work as a crew member, and that was as good as it was probably ever going to get for me, is what I thought, you know. But to see him come over and do what he did, and you know, around 5:36, I think, set the world record at one point there as well.
Yeah,
and
15 now.
It's just really impressive for a young guy that works on his own stuff, and all that stuff means the world to me as a car guy, a motorsports guy, a racer. Like, just someone that wants to work hard on their stuff and remember the fact that, like, championships can be won at the shop, not at the track, and all that stuff. And he proved it. And, you know, I think our work ethics, come to find out, are pretty similar, and our objectives were pretty similar. So we crossed paths eventually, and you know, kind of a small world scenario, but we're pretty similar in some ways. I'm just better looking.
What's he building the extension on at his place for you? So, I mean, he'd just be in one place.
One-stop shop? Nah, he'd run me off.
So did you guys work together for a while?
A little bit, like on some projects we work together, you know, but when we worked together for too long, we were like a married couple. We started arguing. No, but he runs his own shop, I run my shop. But when we really needed, like, oh, hey, I need this done by like tomorrow or yesterday, we called each other, you know.
Jonnie's bailed me out a bunch of times.
We helped each other out, you know.
Deadlines, and
Yeah, I find it very interesting, you know, doing a little bit of homework on both you guys, and while your paths are completely different, they're also very similar as well. And you growing up in a racing family, Richie, as well, you know, starting off and building cars with your dad, and having that dream to come over here. What was it, a Holden? Was it a Holden you guys built over there in Australia with your dad?
Yeah, my first car was a 1958 Holden, which Holden's the GM, you know, equivalent in Australia, of course. And I think I got the car when I was like 14 and started racing it when I was 16, and, you know, tried to make it go faster and faster, and learned a lot with my dad, and had a lot of fun with my dad. Prior to that, I'd raced go-karts, you know, since a fairly young age, And he also used to have a go-kart, and he raced as well. So
I was a pretty big go-karter myself.
yeah, I've seen some pictures actually of old Rico flying around.
How about that helmet? I still had the Simpson Bandit helmet.
That's pretty cool.
It's about circa 1990, I think. I can't remember. But
that's timeless. That helmet is timeless.
He is the only one. Now, granted, he's the second. They're the second group in. He's the only one that said, "Is that you on that go-kart?" So I felt pretty big about saying, "Yeah, that was me."
Yeah.
With that.
All right. Once again, we will take a quick break here. We'll be right back with more.
I fired it up, won that round. And if we haven't done that, we would have lost the championship.
Welcome back to the Skinny. If you take a look at that shot right there, there's actually 5 of us on the set. If we count that Wally sitting right in the middle, it's a pretty prestigious one for sure. We have both Richie Crampton on the show, along with Jonnie Lindberg, a couple of buddies here inside of this industry that have worked shoulder to shoulder, racing hard. And when I talk to you guys, I love how deep into this industry you guys are. I mean, I have such a mad respect for the workers that are on these cars that travel the entire series day in, day out. It is impossible to explain to an average fan or, the fans that we love and that we need that want to come watch this sport. But if they have a regular job where they go to work, and let's say they work 10 hours a day, whatever the case may be, it pales in comparison to what this is when you make a commitment to a race team. And I often wonder, like when I see you two guys, because you've been through the thick of it, you've seen it all, man. And I know you've got a ton of stories where we thought we were done. There was no way we were going to make the next round, but I managed to do this, or we managed to fix this, or I don't know how it stayed together, but somehow, some way, we made it work one more time. No matter what it is, there's no quit.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories with that, but I don't even know which one to pick. I guess one good story is from Europe. My brother was driving a Pro Mod back in 2010, and we nuked the motor out of it, and just a stupid little mistake. Back then we taped the fuel shot off, so it vibrated shut. Nuked the motor. We swapped motors. We didn't have much parts back then, we just swapped motors. We needed to pull the heads from one motor, put it on another, take the mag. We had one mag on the car. Different cam swap. We did all this. We didn't have time to start it. Roll it up there to the start line. Hopefully it fires up. Hopefully I put a mag in, right. I fired it up. I won that round. And if we haven't done that, we would have lost the championship. So, exactly like you said, you just need to, you can't just quit. It's not in, I don't have it in you try it at least, and don't stop until
it's all laying on the ground. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's mad respect for you guys that work as hard as you work. And, like I say, just keep trying. Just because a lot of times you would look at it on paper, it's there's just no way it's going to happen. But maybe if I try this, I don't know, no promises here, but maybe, and
yeah.
So Richie, when you came over, what year?
2004.
Okay. So where did you start?
So I came over to the US with a Australian top fuel team, and we competed in the NHRA and IHRA series, just kind of hitting what races that the Cowan family wanted to race at. But we were based in Santa Clarita, California. Bill Blomgren's shop, who used to run Geronimo Nitro Funny Cars. But yeah, we kind of just traveled around, living out of a suitcase. I was 23 years old, and I'd been to the US one time before, but really just stoked to be in the US, going racing as a job, and enjoying it.
Do you think you see that anymore? Do people chase that? I mean, are they as crazy as you guys were then? Because I can't think of anybody that's and so then Jonnie, you come over. you go directly into racing, running a car, driving.
Yes. So I don't know if you know the story why I came here in the first place.
Let's hear it.
So
we
in-
need the skinny on this.
So in 2013 in Europe, I took the world record in speed in like 268.8. And Frank Manso out of here at 268.1. But then all over the internet, like, nah, they're cheating. He has a wrong blower. Their timing system is off. So I'm like, I'm gonna show these Americans how it's done. So I like sold my apartment. I sold everything I owned back home. Shipped my car. Bought this old dually and a trailer. And that's why I came here. Like, I just want to prove my point. And then 2 years later, I took the world record here. And this, like, it's just hard-headed. Like, I'm gonna show them guys, you know.
But that competitive side, that's what drives you guys.
Absolutely.
That's what drives all of us, right? And Manzo of all people. I mean, he's the man. That's the ace,
so I like,
you know?
well, I was, faster than Manso. I want to like prove a point, But like, it's a shame. Like the same race my first race I went to, Manso retired, so we never raced each other.
Really?
But now we're good friends because we start talking and bullshit. Tons of respect for that guy.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
My home track was where he got his first win. 9 races in, you won at Englishtown, Old Bridge Township Raceway Park, Englishtown. Mm-hmm. That was my home track. That's where I got started. I used to work with Louis Bloom back in the day.
Wow.
And of course, from the Northeast.
Yeah, he's like 80.
In the Northeast, we all knew Frank Manzo. He's a Division I guy, and he just kicked people's asses for years and years and years. So I'm sure when you see that and you're like, hey man, I just beat what some would call the best of all time, on an alcohol funny car. Like, hey, I want my credit here, and you weren't getting the credit. It's like, okay, let's pack the stuff up. We got to go where the race is,
What was he? Was he Lucas Oil sponsored for 20 years?
He was Lucas Oil sponsored for a long time for sure. But I remember when he didn't have Lucas Oil sponsorship. I mean, he would show up and he was just vicious. He was one of those guys, like, the blinders on, and just absolutely on kill from the time he woke up in the morning until he went to bed.
A real quick story talking about Englishtown, which, it had a checkered past of, just some things that went on there. Well, anyhow, and I'm talking about people getting hurt. I'm not talking about the operation. But so, how did you get the job there? Let's ask you that.
We have to take a commercial break here. Maybe we'll touch on that when we come back. It's in line with these two crazies, though. I'll give you that. And at some point, I looked back, and this copy machine is spitting papers out.
Welcome back to The Skinny. I'm Rico Elmore. They finally wanted somebody with a little better looks, bringing the show back up. But welcome back. We've got our good friends, Richie Crampton, Jonnie Lindberg with us. And right before we left to break, we asked Mr. Ken Stout, how did you get that job at Englishtown?
First of all, congratulations, bud. You just did that in one take. I'm impressed. I thought I was going to have plenty of time to have a drink, 2 or 3 shots at this thing. And
wow. I kind of thought you would too, but go ahead. It's all right. Oh, and by the way, hi, Mom.
Got to include Mom here. Yeah. So my time at Englishtown, I probably had a couple, maybe, before we got to the racetrack.
He was drinking at the racetrack, is what he's getting.
Boy, like 13 or 14?
Couple of beverages.
Couple of 6-packs.
This was probably 1996, 97, somewhere in there. And I was a DJ at the time. So I worked for a station called WRAT, the Rat Rocks the Jersey Shore. So I was, watching the races and came up there and had a couple of beers and came up to the tower. Jimmy Knapp was running the tower at the time, of course, the historic Knapp family, Vinny and Richard and all of their sons, just wonderful, wonderful people. Certainly a huge part of the drag racing industry as well, right? So I went up there and I said, hey, do you guys need any announcers? And he said, Louis Bloom, who at the time hated to announce motorcycles. He probably won't admit it to this day, but he hated to do motorcycles. He ended up doing ProStar. He covered all the ProStar stuff many years later, and did a wonderful job as he does. But he stepped out. The only thing I knew about was motorcycles because a younger, thinner Ken Stout used to drag race motorcycles. So
I used to race go-kart.
I heard that, pal. Probably a picture around here. So, so I jumped in there, and the only thing that I'd never seen a timing system before, the monitor or anything, but I knew the bikes.
Yeah.
So, so I jumped in there and was doing this one session of the motorcycles as they rolled in. Well, my son was maybe 3, and that would have made my daughter 7. So she's fine. She's just chilling out up there, looking out through the glass, watching the bikes go down. But my son is a 3-year-old, and they had one of those copy machines that was this tall, and he doesn't know any better. He can't see anything. So he's just doing this, right, with whatever. And I'm trying to announce, I'm trying to figure out this screen. I'm looking at the bikes. I'm watching them go down the track. And at some point I look back, and this copy machine is spitting papers out like a banshee. I mean, it's just one after another. I'm like, probably not good, but let me focus on the motorcycles. So I did that one little quick session, and Jimmy said, hey man, if you want to come back on Sundays, we start at 9 in the morning. And at the time, there was no noise curfew. We would probably go till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. He said,
what year did AV start when you were up there? Wasn't it around that time when?
Yeah. Antron was around. Yeah. There was, my buddy, Paul Bailey, Wayne Paul, we called him Wayne Paul. Biggest Warren Johnson fan on the planet. He used to work on the water box. Eddie Craywick ended up being track manager there for a while. He was in the water box. So there were a lot of people that came out of Englishtown. And as you know, I mean, it was such a historic. We had it there for the Summer Nationals for a long time. I don't think it was the Summer Nationals when you won it, by the way. It was in June.
Yeah.
Was it still called the Summer Nationals?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was the beauty of that racetrack. And it really was very instrumental in launching my career in television. I met the television crew there. They started using me, and that expanded in my career. But it was because anybody and everybody came through Englishtown at one point in time during the year. So you saw the absolute best.
Yeah. Yeah. Historic track, match racing, like all that stuff. It's for sure it was awesome for me to get a win there. But yeah, on the East Coast, that was just a
that was the Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
No question about it. So that was a Ken Stout segment.
Wow.
I apologize.
That was long. And I was the one that brought it back in.
Your fault. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. I promise you it'll get way better. We're going to talk to the 2 subjects here when we come back.
Try to get into bed, and there was a 3-foot long alligator in there.
The Skinny is brought to you by American Coach. American Coach. Innovation is our life force. And Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear. Hardcore since '04.
Welcome back to the Skinny. It was nice to have Rico bring us back out of break, and had a good time telling that story. Nice job,
Never
buddy.
again.
Seriously.
Never again. That was a setup.
It's the only thing I got going here is I can take us to break bring us back. So welcome back to the Skinny. We have Richie Crampton, and we have Jonnie Lindberg on the show with us today. Jonnie, a 2-time top alcohol funny car champ, and of course Richie with 10 wins and Top Fuel. Doing a little bit of homework on that. 2014 Rookie of the Year. Paul Fanner and Racer Magazine gave you 2014 Racer of the Year. Pretty prestigious award from Paul Fanner and the boys over there. In our industry, of course, you won the 60th running of the U.S. Nationals in 2014. So I read that you didn't understand how big the Gators were, and you end up winning it back-to-back.
Yeah, well, going there for 15 years or so, I understood how big of a race it was, but really the history and everything behind it, I'd kind of overlooked for sure. To win it, the first time, and obviously back-to-back was huge, and the second one was the 50th, so that was a big deal also, being another anniversary race, which I had good luck at. But those 2 wins in Gainesville were really special for me because they were both with Connie Coletta as my, crew chief, team owner. I was hired to drive for Connie Coletta, the legend, one of the main legends of drag racing, forever. So standing in the winner's circle with Connie at the Gator Nationals, it was huge. And then obviously to look back on the history of that event and what it means, it's definitely those 2 back-to-back wins are going to stick with me for a long time.
Can we talk about the history of Vanetti at the Gator Nationals and what you guys did to him there?
Anthony Vanetti? Well, It wasn't me. I was a spectator for that.
I was spectating.
Rico's alluding to Roy Falgoux, who's from South
The
Louisiana.
Raging Cajun.
And he is not scared to mess around with alligators. Like they're like
Catch them right in the drainage ditch. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, so I feel like I might be incriminating here, but
Well-
Roy got a small gator and put it in the bed of
Not taped
said
off
Anthony
anything.
Vanetti.
Not taped off or anything.
hmm Anthony Vanetti came home from the ale house, to the hotel, of course, pretty
gem-
late.
That gem of a place we'd always stay at.
Yeah, which has been a good time for many a NHRA crew guy. But there was a few people giggling in the window looking at Vanetti try to get into bed, and there was a 3-foot long
Yeah.
alligator in there.
Good stuff, man. It's super cool stuff. That's what it's all about. I mean, you put in so much hard work, but it's a camaraderie like that you guys have for a lifetime now.
It's
and,
the
and
fa-
you're in
it's
the
the-
mix of it.
it's the family on the
it's
road.
The families.
That's
It's
what
a
it ends up
traveling
being.
circus family, and you have all these crazy stories because there's so many crazy personalities that you run across along the way. Guys that are crazy talented, and apparently this guy crazy talented at also catching alligators. So you just don't know what you're going to run up against.
Too much idle time for the crew guys and racers to come up with the other fun stuff to do.
Well, Johnny, I feel like I keep asking Richie, these questions, and I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to work him in a little bit more because he works on my car, so maybe knock a little off the bill.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you want to start doing some fab work? Maybe we could get you a
Now that
couple
I know
more
you do
words.
fab work. Richie's like, no, take it to Johnny. I don't want to see it again.
No, but it's funny that you said like all this camaraderie. Like I moved here from Sweden, Richie from Australia. So like I know people around the world because of drag racing and the car culture, So that's if I wouldn't do this, I'd probably stay in Sweden and work on some old Volvo or something,
I'm surprised that, because there's obviously a couple of very successful Swedes in IndyCar as well. And obviously the Swedes are very successful in drag racing. I would have just never guessed that there's so many racing fans. We're so shielded here in the States. I'll be the first one to admit it. We don't pay attention to anybody else because we think we're the best. And the series and stuff that we have, it's like the elite series. So it's not something you necessarily pay attention to somewhere else. It's like we have NHRA here, we have IndyCar here. Obviously F1 is a different story, but I'm surprised. I don't know why. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but there's a number of very talented racers that come out of your country.
Yeah, I don't know why. Really, like Sweden, it's a small country, like 9 million people. Like LA is bigger, population. So I don't know why, but the American car culture is huge in Sweden. It never rusted either because it was like oil sprinkler. I drove like 20 hours with it. I put a quart of oil in it because it was oil everywhere.
You're taking a look at all four of us here on the set of the Skinny. Brand new set here for 2024. Rico and the gang did an awesome job.
Thanks
Here's
for
a
all
big,
your help, Ken.
big memorabilia wall over there. I did absolutely nothing, nor am I claiming that I did. But, yeah, the place looks fabulous, man. Thank you guys for coming in here. Richie Crampton and Jonnie Lindberg in here with us, and we've been chatting with these two guys because they've been in the thick of it, highs and lows. They've seen a little bit of everything. They build the cars. They race the cars. We have to talk to Johnny a little bit. I've got to ask you some questions here. First of all, you were telling a story when we were at commercial break about how you had the ugliest trailer in the pits, but it didn't matter. It's not trailers that win races.
No, exactly.
We can't tell how it got sold, but you could talk.
Yeah, we can. So I didn't have a lot of money when I came here. Like everything my sponsors, everything I put in that race car. So I don't really care how the trailer looked. I wanted a big, nice trailer, but I didn't have the money. So I didn't paint it, nothing. We called it Red Rocket because it was a red toter home with an old, ugly trailer behind it. I think it was an 89 Warrior. So when I went into car washes or the, Blue Beacon and stuff, they put horse trailer on the receipt. So it was good. I got cheaper, you know.
How many times did you actually wash it?
I've washed it like twice in like 4 years because it didn't matter.
It had to be pretty dirty to take her through the blue.
We
had
call
to
it
be feeling good. Like, let's run her through the blue beacon.
Let's get her out there. We got some extra money.
Yeah,
the
so
wheels.
it never rusted either because it was like oil sprinkler. I drove like 20 hours with it. I put a quart of oil in it because it was oil everywhere.
It was always spraying oil down the sides of it.
But it was kind of cool. Like you showed up to a race, you pulled in, like you parked next to these nice semis and stuff. It didn't matter. I had the fastest race car. You know, like you don't race a trailer, do you? You know. So,
did you have a sticker on the back that said 2-time funny car champ?
It just said, I think, TAFC 1, right?
Yeah, there was something written in Sharpie, I remember, though. No,
Sharpie?
2-time or something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe some. I don't know.
I thought that was cool as hell, though. The smallest trailer, but the fastest race car and the number 1 on the side of it. I think that was pretty cool stuff.
And I think that was he licensed in my funny car. Now, like, if you drive home,
yeah,
you can license in it. So that's what's the deal. He drove all the way home.
Yeah. Yeah, and your dad was with us, and I think I scared 3 flavors out of Lars on the way home. He thought I was going a little fast through the hills.
My dad woke me up, like, going through, the hills there, Smoky Mountains, and he, like, hauling ass down. I'm like, hey, Richie, these brakes aren't very good on this trailer.
Well, it took like an hour to get up to 60, so
I'm not planning on using the brakes. We're okay.
Yeah.
So I can't, like, I drove that rig by myself because all my crew, they flew from Sweden to each race. I didn't have my crew, so all my mom and dad flew over, and my brother and my old crew from Sweden. So they flew over, landed on Thursday, took time off work, flew back Monday morning, and I drove all across the country with that piece of rig, like in up 15 mile per hour uphill, like
Yep.
like overheating and like
nothing worse.
But knock on wood, I never broke down side of the road.
Well, it got you where you were going. You won races.
Yeah, but I don't even understand how I could do it. I really wanted to win a championship, and then the second championship I want to win. So
that's awesome.
Looking back, I'm like, I don't know what I did, but
that's
the good stuff. Like that's the stuff you're gonna remember for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Remember when we drove to Atlanta together?
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of tired.
Yeah,
because we were.
Well, that was a whole nother saga when we put his top alcohol funny car motor into my '57 Chevy, and decided to drive it on the road and do drag with
Xbox
it.
of Doom.
Yes. Yep. But yeah.
Yeah, that was same trailer, same total home. We were working all night for 2 days.
Yep.
Like
the '57 Chevy, actually, we jammed it in there because you had the racks for the oil and fuel jugs, right? And we were like late.
Get out?
I always pushed
to wrench it in and push it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the worst road trip of my life, probably, because we were kind of tired. So I started driving like for an hour, like, hey, Richie, your turn. So like,
you drive for like an hour.
Yeah.
We just swap.
I just
and then like
moved the clock of 45 minutes ahead. So I only drove for 15.
I've heard that story. Somebody did it to Marty Reed. Did the same thing. You saw him drive
all the way
changed
to
the clock
Atlanta.
like 3 hours and said it's your turn.
I think we slept like 45 minutes each. Like, your turn. Like,
yeah,
that's horrible.
Again, it was well worth it. It was a beatdown at the time, though. It was hot and humid in Atlanta, and we weren't nearly prepared like we should be to go do what we were trying to do because we had other real jobs, right? Racing in the NHRA. But we had a good time, and it was that'll stick with me forever for sure.
Want to get the skinny on other guests and different types of motorsports? Check out our YouTube page and get the skinny. The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04. And American Coach. Innovation is our life force.
Welcome back to the Skinny. It's been a great show here with both Jonnie Lindberg and Richie Crampton. Last segment here. There's plenty to go here with these guys. You got to have you both back for starters, man. I mean, there's so much more to talk about. We've barely scratched the surface with either one of you, but great to have both of you on the show. We've talked about all your success, Jonnie, and inside of a top alcohol funny car, but you did drive a nitro car for Jim Head. Last segment here, I want to touch on what you're going to do here in 2024 as well. You're going to be crew chiefing for our crew chiefing, but I know you'll be tuning with Paul Lee, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, new for this year, I crew chief for Paulie and tuned that car with the help of John Medlin. So he's kind of my mentor.
wow.
So that's awesome.
So you had that opportunity to drive for Jim Head. What was that like? 4 final rounds. I know you didn't snag that Wally, but you were right there.
Yeah, you know, like it's of course a fuel car is it's badass to drive a fuel car. You know, like but it's like it's timing. Like in 2016, I took my championship money and paid Wilkerson to license in his car in Vegas, and Jim Head watched me do my 3 license runs. I think I ran at 391 on my first full pull, so it's pretty stout. So I told Tim, like, "Are you crazy or something?" Like, "Nah, I knew you could drive, kid. You know, I'd tune it up for you." So then Jim called me that winter and like, "Hey, I want you to drive for me." I'm like, "Okay, well, when are we gonna go testing?" He's like, "You don't need a test." I'm like, "Okay." So came down to Gainesville, my 4th run in a fuel car out of the trailer. Never sat in the car even. We ran like 392, qualified, and then the first race I went to the final. But Forrest beat me in the final. But that's a pretty good.
So
story.
he was right.
So
you didn't need the test.
You didn't need the test.
I think 7 rounds in a fuel car, and I've been in a final, so it was pretty cool. And then the following race, a final as well. But I never got that Wally, so I have some unfinished business in fuel racing. I think
you're gonna fix that this year on what you're doing.
Get one as a tuner.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to see Paul Lee to go out there and I mean, if you could get Paul Lee in a final and get him a win on the NHRA tour, that'd be quite an accomplishment.
I think we can. Like this year, we have the parts and we have the knowledge to do it. I think so.
And he's a great guy. He is a great guy. He's a salt of the earth type of guy.
Yeah, Paul's been in the game for a long time, and I covered IHRA back in the day, and Paul was running over there as well, and it'd be great to see him. He certainly paid his dues. I mean, it'd be great to see him get out there.
He's an awesome boss. Like he, good guy. But he worked himself up. He worked his ass off to be able to drive a fuel car. You know, he used to drive alcohol cars back.
For you to work alongside Medlin, I mean, that is a golden opportunity to expand your knowledge.
Yeah, he's Medlin is such a good guy, and the knowledge he has. Like I told people, he tuned out or fuel cars longer than I've been born. So
yeah,
he has a little knowledge there.
Oh, no question. That's exciting, man. You got to be excited to do that. And Rico told me that you had bought Dan Pace's house out here with a big shop. So you've got your 6,000 square foot shop out behind the house. Sounds to me like you won't be there quite as much as you have been if you're on the full NHRA tour. Are you running all the races?
We were supposed to go to like 13 to 15, but now we kind of added on the races already. So we're probably going to be to quite a few races.
You'll have a busy year.
They got a golden opportunity. They do.
Yeah, very, very cool. Richie, you're hunkered down in the shop, aren't you, over there? Indy Speed Shops. You want to share that info a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
do you want anybody to stop by?
I try to avoid that. I do like a good chat, but I'm beginning to figure out one pair of hands can only get so much stuff done.
I almost said like we need to have these guys hold their hands up if you want to know if they work or not, you know. But
no, it's I left Lucas after a long time, which was a big move for me. They were always super awesome. You know, I spent Christmas with Morgan and Forrest and Charlotte a couple of times when I didn't go back to Australia. So left that, had my own little shop, built a few dragsters. Tony Stewart was driving the last one that I built that was actually supposed to be for Richie McPhillips. But other than that, just really doing a lot of door car and hot rod stuff, which is kind of getting back to, you know, kind of what Johnny and I did in the garage with our dads when we were kids, you know, hot rod stuff, and really enjoying it. But
to the extent that you guys do now, to the extent with your parent or with your dads that you do now, I mean, I go in your shop and I'm absolutely amazed with some of the stuff. And I go in there, I'm one of the guys. I usually stop at the end of the day to wear him out instead of early in the day. But I asked him, I said, what are you doing to this? What are you doing? Because I'm intrigued by it. Mm-hmm. Because my father was a general contractor and he could do unbelievable things with wood. My brother Scott's even better than him. But anyhow, to see that done with metal and steel and, you know, all the pieces and parts. And
my description to people of Richie and people like Johnny is they have absolutely no fear. Whatever it is that you think you want to do to a car, even if it's together or not, it's like, no worries, dude. Let's just take it apart. Let's cut it up. Let's cut it up. We'll put it back together.
I was confident until I met him, and then for sure he's the one that's not scared. But I think, you know, if you look at one of his alcohol funny cars, like I think a lot of the stuff that he and I did as kids, teenagers growing up, like treating it like a hot rod, you know, like getting back to being an old school hot rod car thing, you know, and going all about the details and making it all cherry. That's what you're meant to do, isn't it? And it's not, you know, they can't all be cookie cutters, right?
That's awesome.
I hate to wrap things up here. For the skinny, we're going to wrap things up. There's going to be an after show here. You'll be able to catch that on our social media and YouTube channel as well. And so we're going to stick around here. And now you have a little bit of the skinny on two characters inside of the drag racing world. Hope you enjoyed the show.